Hello friends, I am Dr. Kostub, and in this issue we are going to study in detail the reasons for prolonged protests that are ongoing in Hong Kong. In this map we can see the location of Hong Kong here. Officially it is designated as a special administrative region of People's Republic of China. It is located on the eastern side of Pearl River estuary. This territory was under British control after 1842, the First Opium War. Later British had signed a treaty which gave them the lease of this territory for 99 years. This lease, when it ended in 1997, this territory was transferred to China. China has been governing this territory from 1997 under one country, two systems principle. So, where does Hong Kong stand today? It is classified as a capitalist mixed service economy. It is densely populated with high level of socio-economic development. It is among world's top exporters and importers, China and USA being the largest export markets. It operates among the world's busiest airport and port, so logistically this territory is very well developed. It has a well developed and efficient public transportation system and moves more than 90% of the island's traffic. Now, look at it from the perspective that Hong Kong has the highest density of high net worth individuals in the world. Still, more than 90% of the island's traffic moves by using a public transportation system. Now, how is the governing structure? Hong Kong maintains a separate governing and economic system from mainland China. It is governed by chief executive and an unicameral legislative council. Only half of the members of legislative council are chosen directly through geographical constituencies. So what about the later half? The other half are chosen by functional constituencies representing trade and commercial interest groups. Only 1200 people vote to choose the chief executive. Now this is the reason of discontent, that there is no direct democracy. Autonomy, whether it is a myth or reality in Hong Kong. The basic law, it is considered as a mini constitution. This law is based on the agreement that was signed between Britain and China when Hong Kong was handed over to China in 1997. So this basic law guarantees democratic rights for 50 years after 1997. Hong Kongers enjoy free press and the right to protest. There is a high degree of political autonomy. Preservation of the capitalist system is ensured, and the capitalist way of life, it is also preserved in Hong Kong. But then why this David is against the Goliath, that is China? The trigger for these protests was the extradition bill that would have allowed the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government to repatriate fugitives to the mainland, Taiwan and Macau in the absence of any extradition treaty. So there is no extradition treaty between Hong Kong and these territories. Still, any fugitive which was declared so by the Chinese government would have been extradited from Hong Kong or from Hong Kong to these territories, which then they interpreted as erosion of firewall separating it from China. So, in protests, the students, especially the youth, they stormed the Legislative Council and occupied the airport. So, these were significant challenges to the authority of China. And then these protests, total population of Hong Kong is nearly 7 million. And out of the 7, 2 million are on streets. So, participation of people is on large scale, especially the youth. And then the trouble for China is the I word, independence. Few youth are now speaking about not just autonomy, but independence from China. Look at the troubled past, 2014. These are the pictures. The Parliament of China in Beijing, it had offered direct elections. It's called NPC. It had offered direct elections. But then the catch was all candidates to be approved by more than 50% of pro-establishment dominated nominating committee. So the proposal was rejected by Hong Kongers as fake democracy. This gave rise to the Occupy Central and the Umbrella movement in 2014. Now, why is there discontent among the Hong Kongers? Article 1 of the Basic Law, it says that this Hong Kong Special Administrative Region is an inalienable part of the People's Republic of China. External affairs and defense, these are completely controlled by Beijing. Hong Kong government can frame law on sedition against the PRC. So, if anyone present in the Hong Kong is protesting against China, then Hong Kong government can charge that person under sedition law. Perception that China is moving away from the terms of Sino-British Joint Declaration. And then universal suffrage, which was guaranteed or was to be brought under this basic law, has not been yet implemented. What are the basic 5 demands? These are the young leadership. Actually, this protest is seen as leaderless, but then the people have 5 demands that they've put forward. First is withdrawal of the extradition bill, which has already been done. Government should call the protest as riots, right? So protest should be considered as political protests, not as riots. Then exoneration of the arrested protesters, they should be left. And then independent inquiry into police action and the use of excessive force. There has been widespread criticism throughout the world about this police action. And universal suffrage and direct elections to choose the chief executive and the legislative council. Is economics behind these protests? Let us see. Though it has highest density of high net worth individuals, inequality is steep and rising in Hong Kong. When Hong Kong is compared with Singapore, Singapore is better in terms of social equity. Here in Hong Kong, housing ownership is just around 50%. Hong Kong is, in the present context, is also facing stiff competition from Shenzhen, the port of Shenzhen, and Shanghai. 75% of China's FDI enters the mainland from Hong Kong. So Hong Kong can be interpreted as a bridge between the outer world and China. Then Hong Kong has played an historical role in China's opening up to the outside world. How bad is the situation presently? At present, vertical divisions are visible across the board. So in various political, social or economic organizations, even in companies, the staff is divided vertically between the people who support China and the people who support Hong Kong. So the people who are pro-democracy and in the support of autonomous democratic Hong Kong are called yellow, or the terminology color code is yellow, and the blue people are the pro-Beijing constituency. Problem is the middle ground for peace and dialogue is a vanishing space. So extremes of opinion are seen, and their protesters are also fighting among each other now. Violence has been increasing. This has complicated the resolution of the issue further. Problem for China is also that whom it should deal with. The movement is projected as leaderless movement. And then new phenomena has come up that is called doxing, malicious spread of private information online. So these Hong Kongers are spreading the information about police and their private lives on internet. And on the other side, the leaders who are or leading this protest, their information is also being put up online by the hackers in China. Now, why it is bad news for China? 2019, it is 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China. It is also the 30th anniversary of Tiananmen Square massacre. Presently, China is also facing global criticism on the detention camps that it is operating in Xinjiang region. Now, Hong Kong has suffered because of this protest in terms of tourism, so it seems to be headed for recession. And then one thing is sure, if one studies Chinese history, there is a constant in it that regimes begin to disintegrate along the periphery. So this contagion, China is worried, may spread to Taiwan also. Then more than 70% of the population that lives on the island today identify themselves as Hong Kongers and not Chinese. So this is an issue of the identity which will become problematic for China if it doesn't quell this protest soon. Now, how has been the global response? You can see Uncle Sam here, but the protest has not been as is seen in the picture. China has no appetite for internationalizing the issue, obviously. Overall, throughout the world, we see a global, a muted response from the world. UK, which had, or the British, which had handed over this territory to China in 1997, has been critical and demands accountability from China. Hong Kong Human Rights Act, this has been approved by United States House of Representatives Committee on Foreign Affairs, which is putting pressure on China now. Protect HK Act, Hong Kong Act is also in pipeline, which bans the sale of riot control equipment to the government of Hong Kong. So this is what the world has done, but yes, it is because it is China, the protests from the globe have been muted. What are the options available before China? First, China can play out gradually where it erodes the autonomy of this region and then turns it into another Macau, which is also a special administrative region. Or China can give autonomy as is guaranteed under the basic law, but within the limits set by Article 1, which of the basic law, which clearly specifies that this territory belongs to China. These protesters rightfully say that the movement may go, but the sentiment won't. So what can be the conclusion in this? You don't know what freedom is until you feel it. Once you do, you cannot go back. Now this is what Hong Kongers have. They have tested freedom, they have lived under British system, and now they don't want to agree to the system of the mainland China, which they seem as oppressive and opaque. Now, one sentence I remember from the Hunger Games, this is what the protesters are saying: if we burn, you burn with us. And this is correct when you say that this unraveling of protest may lead to disintegration of China in long term if China doesn't handle this protest with care. This is all from my side for today. Thank you. Have a very nice day.